What is going on today? Is Vybz Kartel, the world boss, about to get his freedom, or is he free already? Right then, let's take a deep dive. So a bit of a background, Vybz Kartel was convicted of the murder of Clive Williams. And the 64-day trial was one of the longest in Jamaica. It ended up with Vybz Kartel being ordered to serve a minimum of 35 years in prison, effectively a life sentence. He exhausted all the appeal processes in Jamaica, and they all went against him. So the only option that he had left was to appeal to the Privy Council. Now, what's the Privy Council? Well, the judicial arm of the Privy Council. So to this day, the King of England is actually still the head of state of Jamaica. Now, this also means that England still has some legal control, or at least legal influence, over the island. As such, the Privy Council is the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council is an English court that can hear appeals from Commonwealth countries such as Jamaica. It's like the final court of appeal for some of the Commonwealth countries, Jamaica included, of course. So that's why Vybz Kartel took this move. Now, the appeal was just based on 3 points. The first one was juror misconduct. The second one was undue pressure that was put on the jurors. And then the last one was the admissibility of the evidence that convicted Vybz Kartel, aka the BBM messages. If you were that age during that time, you'd know about the BB messages. Yeah. Anyway, now the admissibility. So what they're saying was that these evidence, these BlackBerry messages, those messages were obtained unlawfully, and for that reason they should not be admissible in a court of law. Obviously, that is done to protect people's rights and stuff like that, blah blah blah. It doesn't always mean that if the evidence against you is oppressive or is obtained and procedurally unlawfully, it's an automatic dismissal of the case. It doesn't always mean that. But so, I mean, at the end of the day, it's with the judge's discretion. They can allow it, and then allow it, depending on how bad the procedural irregularity was. In this case, the judge said, well, yeah, it might have been obtained unlawfully, but I'm going to allow it anyway. And so that's what happened. Now, the second one was that the judge put some undue pressure on the jury to reach a verdict. It was late in the day. Everybody's tired, and then the judge kind of said something like, or to the effect of, you have to reach the verdict today, before the end of the day. So then the jury was like under some pressure to come up with something. So the thinking is, or the allegations are, they might not have had enough time to really think through the evidence, especially evidence that culminated from 64 days. Right? Now, the last one is the most important one, juror misconduct. So apparently one of the jurors, he tried to bribe other members of the jury with 500,000 Jamaica dollars to acquit the accused. Apparently, that's what happened. I will probably say that's what happened because that juror was later on convicted of obstructing the course of justice. Now, the problem with that is when that happened, that judge still allowed that juror to still reach the final verdict. So imagine you've got a person who apparently has been paid to influence other jurors to reach a certain verdict, and is found out, but that person is still allowed to make the final verdict. The problem with that as well is because the judge did not properly direct the jurors to explain the relevance of that. He just directed them like everything is being normal. Like, yeah, consider the evidence you've been hearing for the past 64 days. You should not consider anything else other than what you've heard in this court, right? But he did not make any mention of this attempted bribe. Yeah? So the problem with that is, if the jurors believe that yes, this person really tried to bribe us to acquit these people, and if they believe that, most likely that's what any normal person would have believed, that the direction or the money came from Vybz Kartel, right? So if they believe that this Vybz Kartel tried to bribe us to acquit him, right? Their conclusion is obviously, well, logical conclusion is going to be, well, so for that reason, he's obviously guilty. Because if he wasn't guilty, he wouldn't be trying to bribe people to reach a certain verdict. Or in other words, he wouldn't try to bribe us if he was innocent. So therefore, he must have been guilty. So what the Privy Council is saying is, if a verdict is reached under those circumstances, it is very unsafe. You know, it infringes on the world boss rights. I hope that makes sense. Now, the judges did not go ahead and consider whether the undue pressure and the admissibility of the BBM evidence was, the status of those two other appeal grounds. They just stopped on the juror misconduct and said on that alone, the case should be dismissed. The conviction should be quashed because it is, in legal terms, unsafe. So it's an unsafe conviction. Now, so is the world boss free now? Or is it going to get freedom in a few days? Not so fast, unfortunately. So what then happens is then the Privy Council then orders, or they, in this case, they ordered that the case goes back to the Jamaican Court of Appeal, where this court is going to decide whether he should be retried or not. So the Jamaican Appeals Court can say, yes, he should be retried, or they can say, nah, we don't need to retry him, then just leave it that way, right? So if they say they're going to retry him, he could be retried and he could then be found innocent, or he could be retried and still get found guilty anyway. And I don't think that they appealed the sentence. I think they only appealed the verdict, which means if he's found guilty again, then he's going to go back and finish his 35-year, minimum in prison. So yeah, that's pretty much where we are at the moment. Obviously, no doubt we'll be discussing the case again when it gets back to the Jamaican Court of Appeal, and I hope it gets broadcasted like the Privy Council's one was, but I think they've got different rules over there, so it might not be the case. But we are waiting to hear what the Jamaican Court of Appeal are going to do. I don't think that they will refuse to have him retried, because obviously everybody's eyes are on that court now. So I think they want to obviously maintain their integrity and be seen as, you know, just. So they'll just say, you know what, let's just get this guy retried, you know, and then let another jury make the decision again, and it'll be all over again. Hopefully this time it won't take all 64 days. Hopefully it will be quicker than that, and hopefully there won't be any procedural issues like that. So yeah, that's where we are. And if you listen to the end, I do appreciate it. And I'll also ask you, as you can see, it's a very new small channel we're trying to grow. So if you could please subscribe, like, comment, and share, I would really much appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. What's the Court of Appeal in Jamaica is going to do? And if he's retried, is he going to be found guilty again? Is he going to be acquitted?